I'm doing my driving and talking series again. Today, I want to talk about business structures. So, last time I talked about the 5 different things you need to do if you're running a business or you want to start a business. And this one is more about what do you run a business in? What kind of vehicle do you use to run a business? What kind of car? So, when you go out for shopping for a car, you've got lots of different options. Just like that, in a business, when you're running a business, you've got lots of different options as to what type of structure you're going to use to run your business in. So there are 5 different structures, just the way that you look at them. One is a sole trader. And sole traders are your really good basic structures. When you're first starting out, probably you've got your own job and you are doing some side business. It works really well. Kind of like that one, I always say around that 100 to $120,000 mark, that works amazingly well for a sole trader. And that's a super simple process. You can engage an accountant to apply for ABN and a business name, or you can do that yourself as well if you want to save on some costs. Second thing is a partnership. That's when you've got 2 people in a business, they both are wanting to run a business together. You can easily just go register a partnership. I think it works really well when you've got a couple in a partnership, just because the transference of the business is a little bit more difficult in a partnership. For example, if you or one of your partners in a business passes away, the business directly goes to the left partner, the partner that's still alive. So kind of like transition and owning the business can be a little bit more difficult in that way. And then from there onwards, there is the company, which is probably one of my favorite structures to run a business out of. I run my business in a complex structure, and I'll talk about that towards the end. But I run companies are one of my favorite structures, primarily because when you've got a company, you need to, I guess the threshold for getting a company registered to run your business is probably around that 100 to 120K mark. Because once you have past that income level, you want to move on to having a company. And why do you want to do that? Is to primarily be able to save on tax so that you don't have to pay exorbitant amounts of tax on your investments or on your business and things like that. That's number one. And then the second thing is companies also are considered a separate legal entity. And this is sometimes a difficult concept for people to grasp. They get confused when I talk about this. So all that means is that in the eyes of the law, a company is considered a separate person. So if something goes wrong in your business, someone wants to sue you, someone's upset with the way that you're running your business, or hopefully no one sues you because they're upset with the way you're running your business. But what I mean is if there's something's gone really wrong and you end up in court for something and the court decides against you, then having your business in a company is going to save you so much, because then you won't be liable outside of your company. So you don't have to pay for stuff from your personal money. Your house will stay intact, everything else will stay with you, which doesn't happen in a sole trader situation. So the courts will look at your money as a whole rather than that you were running a business. So that's one thing. Second thing, oh, no, sorry, we've talked about the 2 things in a company. And now moving on to trust. So a lot of people run their business through a trust. And it's a good way, but I think there's a better way. And I'm going to talk about that at the end. So a trust is really beneficial, I think, to hold assets, which is like if you want to buy property, if you want to buy shares. And why that is the case is because you don't own anything in the trust. You get the benefit of the trust. For example, you become a beneficiary of the trust, and potentially you can control the trust if you're the corporate trustee, or if you own the corporate trustee, or if you are the trustee as an individual as well. So that's one thing. Second thing is what you need to do if you are running a business or if you're running a business that's making over 100, 120 in a company, all of the money either you keep in the company or you distribute it to the shareholders. But an even better method is for a company shares to be held by a trust. So you get all of the benefits of a trust because you can distribute income to lots of family members in a trust, depending on the trust deed and the way the trust deed is written. But at the same time, you also have the protection of the company, which is why, like for example, I run it in a company and then in a trust structure methodology. And it's probably my favorite. After you become a sole trader, someone's earning more than 120, depending on their appetite, depending on how big they want to grow, depending on how many assets they've got in their personal name. That's my favorite recommendation, to have the company running the business in a company, and then having the trust own the shares of the company. So that is all for my tax talk today. I will catch you later. Thank you.